Hello, welcome. You're watching HW News English. I am Shubham Chauhan. It's budget day. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman just tabled the union budget this morning. This was in the monsoon session of the parliament. Usually the budget is presented on the 1st of February because this time it was an election year. On the 1st of February, an interim budget was tabled. And now after the elections were held in the monsoon session of parliament, Nirmala Sitharaman has tabled the budget. It was a concise, if you look at the usual time taken for budget speeches, it was in that ballpark figure. In around 1 hour, 30 minutes, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman covered a lot of ground, from infrastructure to energy to taxation to MSMEs to job creation. So there were a host of issues that the finance minister spoke about, and there will be a lot of talking points in this live section, and even beyond this live. In fact, we'll get you conversations on what the budget actually means. So what are we doing today? What we will essentially look at in this particular live stream is the highlights, the key takeaways that you should know out of all the clutter and the information and the numbers and the statistics that are coming out. So what we've done is we've prepared a brief presentation to just take you through the main takeaways for you as an individual and what are the main things that you should know. Now, going forward, we'll bring you conversations in depth as to what the numbers really hold, because, as they say, the devil lies in the detail. So the detail is yet to come out in its entirety, and we'll get those part of conversations. So let's start with the broad takeaways. If I had to just put it to you, that what were the biggest takeaways from this the budget? There you have it on the screen. There are 5 takeaways that from this budget of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The first is 2 lakh crore allotted for job creation. The second is Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, 2 critical allies of the Bharatiya Janata Party in New Delhi. They've been given a special package. The third is a reduction in custom duty, which essentially means that gold, silver prices are likely to come down. The next is a scheme to offer internship for the youth, something that a lot of experts have praised as far as the government is concerned. And the next is new tax slabs. So effectively, the new tax slabs is something that really concerns you and me directly, those who pay taxes. So we'll come to that. We'll go in the order in which the finance minister presented the budget. So like I said, there are five critical takeaways. If you look at what we have next on the screen, is 3 schemes that were announced as part of the employment linked incentives. Now, before I come to that, I want to in fact play out some bites for you so that it's not just the numbers that really flash on the screen for you, because it tends to happen when you look at a budget of this size. Lakhs of crores, so many avenues, so many new announcements, so many new projects that are announced. So what we'll do is we'll go in the order of the budget. So I've listed the top 5 takeaways from the 1.5 hour, almost 2 hour speech that the finance minister gave. And when it came to the speech of the finance minister, she started with issues that are really on top of the mind of the Indian citizens: inflation and jobs, which is essentially the price of the commodities that you pay. Is inflation high, low? There's been a lot of chatter about the inflation rates, how the common man is seeing a hole in their pockets because of rising prices of food, vegetables, basic appliances that you use daily. So here's what, in fact, Nirmala Sitharaman, my apologies, here's what Nirmala Sitharaman had to say on inflation as she tabled the union budget for the year 2024 in the Lok Sabha. Listen in.
India's inflation continues to be low, stable, and moving towards the 4% target. Core inflation, that is non-food and non-fuel, currently is 3.1%. Steps are being taken to ensure supplies of perishable goods reach markets adequately. Interim budget. As mentioned in the interim budget, we need to focus on 4 major costs, namely the Garib, Mahilaye, Yuva and Annadata, the poor, women, youth and the farmer.
So that was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. She said 4 pillars, including the poor, the kisan, the women who will be part or maybe the thrust areas in terms of what the vision for the future looks like. And she said that the inflation level is under control, and there's nothing really alarming. That is what the finance minister had to say. Like I said previously, there's been a lot of chatter about comparing the inflation data that is outside of the comfort zone, as some experts put it, and the questions on what the government is actually doing to tackle high inflation. But in the budget speech, Nirmala Sitharaman began by addressing inflation, saying that everything is under control, inflation level is low. So that was for inflation. Next, we come to jobs. This has been an issue that is really, surveys after surveys have shown that jobs or the lack of it is an issue. The fact that unemployment is very much prevalent in this country is an issue for youngsters, people who've just gotten out of college and are seeking jobs but are not getting it adequately. So, and in fact, one survey some time back had shown that how unemployment levels were at a 45-year-old high. That is something that surveys have shown that, if you go beyond the numbers, because unemployment is such an anecdotal thing. You speak to people and you visit on field and you speak to people and who say that, yes, look, all said and done, unemployment is an issue. People don't have jobs, which means that they don't have livelihoods. They don't earn money to sustain themselves. So that was that. And here's what the finance minister has laid out. That the 3 schemes under employment linked incentives. And like I said at the beginning, there's going to be a lot of reading and numbers that will be part of this conversation. So scheme A, the 3 schemes essentially for the first timer, that says that benefit transfer of 1 month's salary in 3 installments up to 15,000 rupees. The second is job creation in manufacturing sector, incentive to both employer and employee as per their EPFO contribution. The second is the scheme C, support to employees, which is reimbursement to the employers up to 3,000 rupees per month for 2 years towards their EPFO contribution. So that was about jobs, and there's an extreme. I'll just ask the producers if we can pull up that graphic. More than 2 lakh crore rupees has been put up. Yes, 1 month's salary will be provided to new workforce entrants across all sectors. The government says this is expected to benefit 2.1 crore youths. That is what the government has said, and they've said that this is jobs is very much a priority for them, and the creation of jobs is something that they will look at very, very closely. So that was about jobs. Next up, let's move on to 2 states that really made news in more ways than one, particularly post the election results of the Lok Sabha on the 4th of June. That is the state of Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. Now, just to slightly come away from economics for politics, just a quick brush up. In the current Lok Sabha, the BJP does not have a majority of its own. It has 240 seats, and the halfway mark is 272, which means that the BJP is relying on allies to be in power. And 2 allies that really are shoring up the numbers for the National Democratic Alliance are Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. One, Bihar, the state ruled by Nitish Kumar, an individual known for flip-flops on more than one occasion. And B, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, Chandrababu Naidu, who is an ally now of the Bharatiya Janata Party. So why is it that I'm really talking about these 2 states? Is because, like I said previously, that the numbers are not really in BJP's favor. So the long and short of it is you have to keep the allies happy, right? So there were a series of meetings that happened in New Delhi. There were reports of Chandrababu Naidu, the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and Nitish Kumar, the Chief Minister of Bihar, making their demands very upfront, very clear to New Delhi, saying that they want a special status. But in this budget, a special status was not quite granted. What was given was, thousands of crores of allocation for Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. Bonanza almost, as some people put it. New airports, roads, colleges, completion of dam projects, everything that was, that was stuck or there was a lot of chatter about. The government has dished out these two, or rather looked at these two aspects very closely, and have given heeded to a list of demands that the JDU and the TDP, my apologies, the Telugu Desam Party, have put forth. So now let's look at the state of Andhra Pradesh. There we have it. Yes, completion of the Polavaram Dam project. This project has been in the making for a lot of years now. The government's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that this is very much a priority for them, and 15,000 crore rupees have been allotted to Andhra Pradesh for the development in the current financial year. This is what the state of Andhra Pradesh and a key ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party is getting. Next, Bihar, like I said, new airports, medical colleges, sports infrastructure, 26,000 crore rupees has been outlaid for expressways and highways. To 2,400 megawatt power plant and industrial corridor node in Gaya has been proposed. And for flood control itself, Bihar has seen in recent years a series of floods that has caused a lot of damage to public property and even, in fact, the citizens of Bihar. For that, the central government has allocated 11,500 crores for flood control. If I look at just the numbers closely, that they've Bihar is said to, in fact, benefit from the Purvodaya initiative. I'm reading out from these papers because, like I said, there's a lot of reading and numbers to have. And what essentially the central government has done, they've drawn up a plan. They said they've drawn up a plan and they're aiming at boosting the development of the eastern part of the country. So states like Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Odisha are all set to benefit from this. So the second takeaway was the fact that Bihar and Andhra Pradesh have gotten a huge special package by the central government after a lot of meetings and closed door demands put forth by both Mr. Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu. Now, if you look at the reactions that were coming in, JDU leaders have expressed happiness with the project, with the budget. My apologies. They said that they're pleased with what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has tabled. So that was about Andhra and Bihar. Now, what I'll do is we go on to the next. It's almost linked to the first point, is that of what are the thrust areas, what are the core priorities of the government in this budget. This is something that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman talked about as to what are the areas that the government is looking at. Here is Nirmala Sitharaman on the 9 priorities of the central government as far as the 2024 union budget is concerned.
Out in the interim budget, this budget envisages sustained efforts on the following 9 priorities for generating ample opportunities for all. Number 1, productivity and resilience in agriculture. Number 2, employment and skilling. Number 3, inclusive human resource development and social justice. 4, manufacturing and services. 5, urban development. 6, energy security. 7, infrastructure. 8, innovation, research and development. And 9, next generation reforms. Subsequent budgets will build on these and add more priorities and actions. A more detailed formulation will be carried out as part of the economic policy framework about which I will speak later in this speech.
So that was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on the 9 pillars or the priorities, whichever way you put it: manufacturing, agriculture, and infrastructure, the core areas as to which will be the focus point. The next is a scheme that is gotten a lot of appreciation from a certain section of experts. Is this new internship scheme, which I want to have it on the screen for you. There you have it. Internship allowance of 5,000 rupees will be provided per month for 1 crore youth over a period of 5 years. Now, these internships to youngsters will be provided in the top 500 companies. And the next question, that where will the money come from to train these youngsters, is that the companies will bear training costs and 10% of the internship costs from the CSR fund. So that is something that has been talked about by the finance minister, and here's what she had to say on this scheme at length.
Our government will launch a comprehensive scheme for providing internship opportunities in 500 top companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. They will gain exposure for 12 months to real-life business environment, varied professions, and employment opportunities. An internship allowance of 5,000 per month, 5,000 rupees per month, along with a one-time assistance of 6,000 rupees will be provided. Companies will be expected to bear the training cost and 10% of their internship cost from their CSR funds. Industrial parks. Our government will facilitate development of investment-ready, plug-and-play industrial parks with complete infrastructure in or near 100 cities in partnership with the states and private sector by better using town planning schemes. 12 industrial parks under the National Industrial Corridor Development Program also will be sanctioned.
So that was Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on the internship scheme. Now, before I get two of my colleagues who are in fact out on the field in the heavy rains of Mumbai, trying to get reactions, trying to speak to people as to what do they make of the budget, the last point I want to focus is, I think, is the most looked at aspect of the budget, and that is taxation. How much of your income will you have to pay to the government, which is called essentially income tax, your money, my money, which the government essentially then uses to run schemes, give welfare programs, and etc., etc., etc. So what is the big change that is there as far as income tax slabs are concerned? Now some experts say, and in fact, if we'll once we see the graphics on the screen, you'll realize that not much has changed. It's not that a certain section of people or certain income bracket has been exempted from tax brackets and something drastic has happened. But yes, there have been a few tweaks that have been made as far as the income tax bracket is concerned. Now, for starters, I'll explain it to our viewers very briefly to sort of understand what is it that has really changed. So there were two components to this. When you pay your income tax, there were two regimes, as they call it. One was the old tax regime, and one was the new tax regime. And as part of those regimes, those earning 3 lakh rupees, up to 3 lakh rupees, my apologies, those earning up to 3 lakh rupees were exempted from paying taxes. So the money you earn from your job, from your business, a certain amount, a certain percentage of it has to be paid to the government, which, like I said, is then used to run schemes and provide welfare to the people. So there were two components to it. And now what the finance minister has effectively done is announced a revised slabs for the new regime. The old regime, which is there, has not been touched. It is as is. It's the new regime is where we are seeing some changes. There we have it on the screen for you. Those earning between 0 to 3 lakh rupees, that remains as is, nil. Earlier, which was if you earn 3 to 6 lakh rupees, you'll have to pay 5% of that income as income tax. Now, earlier in the old tax slabs of the new tax regime, I know it can sound confusing, but Effectively, in this regime, the earlier tax slab was 3 to 6 lakh rupees. You'll have to pay 5%. Now that has been widened to 3 to 7 lakh rupees for 5% of your income. Then, which was earlier 6 to 9 lakh rupees, is now 7 to 10 lakh rupees. 10% is what you'll have to shell out as income tax. Then you have, with 10 to 12 lakh rupees, you have to pay 15%, which was previously 9 to 12 lakhs. And the 12 to 15 lakh bracket is at 20% tax, and for above 15 lakh is 30%, of which will have to be paid as income tax. So if you just see, it's a minor tweak here and there. It's just an offset here and there, but it's of course, taxation, income tax is something that benefits, the benefits of which a lot of people want, because who doesn't want to get some benefits from income tax or exemptions here and there, right? So that is something that will happen. A few slabs, the second and the third slab have been tweaked slightly to adjust and accommodate. The finance minister said that this will benefit crores of people. And in fact, she also spoke about having a thorough review of the Income Tax Act, the legislation that governs this aspect of our lives. She said that there will be a thorough review, a comprehensive thorough review of the Income Tax Act. In fact, let's listen in to what she had to say.
I now move to direct taxes. We will continue our efforts to simplify taxes, improve taxpayer services, provide tax certainty, and reduce litigation while enhancing revenues for funding the development and welfare schemes of the government. It has been our endeavor to simplify taxation. We have taken a number of measures in the last few years, including introduction of simplified tax regimes without exemptions and deductions for corporate tax and for personal income tax. This has been appreciated by taxpayers. 58% of corporate tax came from the simplified tax regime in the financial year 22-23. Similarly, as per data available till now, for the last fiscal, more than 2/3 have availed the new personal income tax regime. Comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act. I am now announcing a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961. The purpose is to make the Act concise, lucid, easy to read and understand. This will reduce disputes and litigation, thereby providing tax certainty to the taxpayers. I will also bring down the demand embroiled in litigation. It is proposed to be completed in 6 months. A beginning is being made in the finance bill by simplifying the tax regime for charities, tedious rate structures, provisions of reassessment and such provisions, and capital gains taxation. Simplification for charities and tedious. 2 tax exemption regimes.
So that is effectively is what the finance minister said. The review is to simplify the entire regime so that it is understood and there are no unnecessary complications as part of that. And she in fact also spoke on the personal income tax, new tax slab under the regime, which I just spoke about. So we'll just hear that bite before I get my colleagues in on this one.
Coming to personal income tax rates, I have 2 announcements to make for those opting for the new tax regime. First, the standard deduction for salaried employees is proposed to be increased from 50,000 to 75,000 rupees. Similarly, deduction on family pension for pensioners is proposed to be enhanced from 15,000 to 25,000 rupees. This will provide relief to about 4 crore salaried individuals and pensioners. Second, in the new tax regime, the tax rate structure is proposed to be revised as follows. 0 to 3 lakh rupees, nil. 3 to 7 lakh rupees, 5%. 7 to 10 lakh rupees, 10%. 10 to 12 lakh rupees, 15%. 12 to 15 lakh rupees, 20%. And above 15 lakh rupees, 30%. As a result of these changes, a salaried employee in the new tax regime stands to save up to 17,500 rupees in income tax. Apart from these, I am also making some other changes as given in the annexure. As a result of these proposals, revenue of about 37,000 crore, that is 29,000 crore in direct taxes and 8,000 crore in indirect taxes will be foregone, while revenue of about 30,000 crore rupees will be additionally mobilized. Thus, the total revenue foregone is about 7,000 crores annually. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House. Jai Hind.
So that is what the finance minister had to say on the personal income tax. And in fact, she ended her speech with that announcement. And like I said previously, income tax is something that everyone looks up to as to what is it that will change in the budget, because that is something that directly affects. Of course, all other aspects affect us in some way or the other in the budget, but the income tax is something that is straight out of our pocket. So there's a lot of expectations. There are a lot of expectation with each budget. Every year there's a budget. Like I said, this is an annual affair. This time we are seeing it twice in 1 year, just because there was an election in the middle. So this was the seventh budget, the seventh consecutive budget of Nirmala Sitharaman as the finance minister of India. There were a lot of hopes, expectations, reliefs that may not be given. So effectively, this is what it has come down to. There were other, of course, takeaways from the budget. Like I said, of the salaries, 1 month salary will be provided that is expected to benefit 2.1 crore youth. Loans of up to 10 lakh rupees for higher education in domestic institutions has been announced. And in a bid to boost the startup system, the government has abolished angel tax for all classes of investor, and the custom duty, which I talked about earlier. Prices of gold and silver items are expected to come down, with the government reducing custom duties to 6%. In fact, prices of mobile phones, devices that you may be using right now to watch our live session, prices of mobile phones are also expected to come down, with the government announcing a cut in customs duty to 15%. So that was about the large highlights, the larger points that we believe is important to be put across in the most clutter-free fashion for you. So going forward, we'll have a lot of reports and expert analysis from economists, business experts, stakeholders as to what they think about the budget. Now let's come to the second half of our live. Okay, in fact, there you have the highlights pin as well. So we'll come to the next bit as to what each stakeholder in a way had to say. So what we did really is send out some of our reporters, send out some of my colleagues to speak to different people, working professionals, business owners, the kirana store owners that are there right across your lane, and then the real estate brokers, the big experts and direct stakeholders in this budget, to see what they had to say. Mind you, in fact, we are sitting in a city where the stock exchange is also there. And for those who are looking for a market update, we'll just see if we can get the updated numbers for you. But largely, the market did not see any usual spike, as they say, the market. In short, for those like you and me who don't quite understand the markets, the market was in the red. Both Sensex, Nifty, both critical indices to sort of understand the mood of the stock market. Both these indices were in the red in the lead up to the finance minister's speech, during the finance minister's speech, and after her speech concluded. So, in fact, some experts we spoke to offline just to understand, help us give a quick perspective on what they think of this budget. They said that, while the claims may be made that this is a historic budget And like every year, this is a historic budget that has some fantastic announcements. On the face of it, it might look like something new has been done, but something that I began with, the devil is in the detail. And some experts tell us that nothing really has changed. So stay tuned for those in-depth conversations. Now I'd like to get in my colleagues who, like I said, were on the field today. We have with us Shashank Nair, who is joining us. He went to one of the places in Mumbai to speak to some experts and get their reactions. Good evening, Shashank. It's been a rainy day. It's been a hectic day for our colleagues who are there on the field. In fact, a couple of more colleagues of mine are expected to join depending on the network condition. But Shashank, I want to come to you. Where were you today? Who did you speak to? What was the largest sentiment of the people you spoke to on the budget 2024 presented by Nirmala Sitharaman? Shashank.
Yeah. So Shubham, I am at IMC, that is Indian Merchants Chamber in Mumbai. So basically, the larger sentiment is that this is a youth-oriented budget. That's very clear. Both the schemes that you also spoke about earlier in your address, that the direct beneficiary for those entering the workforce, as well as the internship scheme that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has announced, has quite been accepted very in a very good manner by the business community. Because what they're saying here is that when there is a direct beneficiary thing, it is definitely going to help. But when you provide internship opportunities, you provide business exposure, that really helps newly passed out graduates to get in market exposure, which is for around 12 months. So it is going to help more than 1 crore youths. Now that the cost of that, the training cost is going to be borne by the business houses, and they can claim it in their CSR. So it is a win-win situation for both the parties. Besides that, if we speak about the customs duty, that is very much being appreciated. That custom duty in gold and silver has been reduced. So the festive season is just around the corner. So that is going to be very helpful for the middle class as well. Also, one thing which is interesting is that three cancer drugs have been cancer curing drugs. The custom duties has been reduced. So I think more or less that is what is being spoken much about.
Shashank, we couldn't hear you in the middle properly. While we get that sorted, or audio part sorted, effectively you're saying that there was a positive sentiment from the people you spoke to, right?
Yes, Shubham, and it is a youth-oriented budget.
Okay. In fact, for our viewers, what we'll do is I'll just play out an excerpt from a conversation that Shashank had with one of the members present at the venue where he was. So listen into this, and we'll have the full conversations come out on our channels pretty soon.
आपकी जो एक्सपर्टीज है वो टैक्सेशन में है, आम भाषा में आम आदमी के लिए आप अगर समझा सके न्यू टैक्स रिजीम क्या है और अब इससे आम आदमी को क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है।
देखिए, न्यू टैक्स रिजीम जो पहले जो टैक्स रिजीम था उसमें कुछ तरीके के रिटर्न फाइलिंग करना था, ये करना था, कुछ एग्जम्पशंस अवेलेबल थे, उसका अगर आप इस तरह का करते हो तो इतना एग्जम्पशन मिलता था। ये सारा आम आदमी के लिए एक रिटर्न फाइलिंग में भी काफ़ी कॉम्प्लिकेशन क्रिएट करता था। तो सरकार ने कहा कि हम उसको एक सिंपल टैक्स रिजीम बना देते, जो उन्होंने न्यू टैक्स रिजीम कहा, जिसमें एक सिंपल 1 पेजर रिटर्न फाइल करना है, आपके खाली डिटेल्स देना है, कोई एग्जम्पशन की बात नहीं करनी है, उसके ऊपर जो इनकम आ जाता है उसके ऊपर लोअर टैक्स भर देना है। तो इसलिए उन्होंने ये प्रावधान पहले पिछले सालों में रखा था। उसको फिर एनकरेज करने के लिए उन्होंने उसमें ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट करेंगे, तो ये उन्होंने दिया है। इस साल के बजट में उन्होंने स्लैब रेट में भी वापस मॉडिफिकेशन किया है, जिससे कि आम टैक्स पेयर को काफ़ी सुविधा हो जाएगी, इवन सैलरीड एम्प्लॉय को। तो वो अमेंडमेंट लाया गया है इसमें।
Right. So there we had an expert Shashank spoke to on. He explained the much sought after topic of taxation, and like he said, that this is something that will benefit the salaried class with the new changes that have been proposed by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in the budget. So we'll leave it at that. We'll end this live stream at this point. Shashank, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay safe with the rains around. And I don't think we've been able to get through to some of my other colleagues who in fact spoke to working professionals. What do they think of the new tax slabs that have been announced by the government? And in fact, one of my colleagues spoke to shopkeepers to understand their perspective as to what were their expectations, what did they hope that the budget will have for them, and whether or not the budget did have any of it. So we'll end that live stream at that. We couldn't have our colleagues joining in, but we'll have those videos play out for you here on HW News English. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, this is just a concise report to help you understand the big takeaways, the immediate big takeaways from the 2024 Union Budget that was tabled by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the first for the NDA government, the first after the Lok Sabha elections. The full budget is something that was tabled. Remember, there's the politics always attached to anything that happens with regards to the government on and what they do. And Bihar, Andhra Pradesh was the classic example that we saw today. Two allies that really had their demands, made it very clear to New Delhi that this is something that they want, and they've got quite a bonanza for that. So that'll be an interesting topic. Opposition leader Rahul Gandhi, there was a visual of him coming out of the parliament. He did not give an immediate comment on that, but there are some comments from opposition leaders, including Mr. Gandhi, that are coming in after the budget was done and dusted, announced, and done. So we'll try and line up some guest conversations for you who will really give you the insights, the nitty-gritties, which sector got how much compared to last time, where is it that the allocations stand, and all of the things that form such a critical aspect of how the country is governed in a way, because these are government schemes, programs for the Indian citizens. And for Nirmala Sitharaman, there were questions raised on whether or not she will be able to balance all of this together, the needs of the coalition, the social schemes that are with the Prime Minister's name, the branding, the Labhartis, will they be affected in any way? So the fiscal deficit, then there were the technical aspects, fiscal deficit being one of them. So we'll get those all detailed conversations for you to understand the nitty-gritties. But thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned to HW News English, and of course, subscribe to the channel for the latest news updates going forward. Thank you so much for tuning in.